this is my experience, my very short, brief experience volunteering. Okay. Very brief experience volunteering. And I'm also going to be explaining the story of not only how I volunteered, but also how we even got to being a volunteer in the first place. Okay, so we're going to take you guys a couple weeks back, probably multiple weeks back in my life, like upon weeks in my life. So let's start there as a basis. So we're going to get the whole story of how being a volunteer and how it built up all the way to now, okay? So for anyone wondering. Okay, so basically it kind of started the idea of volunteering, right? It wasn't just like a me thing. It started out as kind of like a thing that it kind of started as a thing in my mind. Like before everything, it kind of started as a thing in my mind because, you know, how I would usually be. By the way, Paul, welcome to the stream. By the way, make sure you don't forget to leave a like. I would appreciate it. By the way, thank you for watching that the big video yesterday. I appreciate that. We're at 147 views on that video, so keep it up, guys. Keep viewing that video. That big project I did. I spent most of yesterday, if not all of the day before yesterday on. You get it. But anyways, yeah, it was like an idea in my head because, as you guys know, like when I play video games and stress out on them, you know, I tend to think of, man, what other possibilities could I be doing right now? What other avenues could I be adventuring through right now? What other avenues could I be spending my time doing instead of doing this stressful ass shit every single day of my life? What else could I be doing right now, right? It starts as like an idea. I make sure I'm here to check on you and see if you're doing okay. Fair enough, Paul. Fair enough. Right? So it kind of started as like an idea that kind of was just in my head, and stuff would just happen, right? So for a long time, it was just like an idea in my head of what could I be doing instead of like doing all this other sort of stuff, right? You're a smart guy, bro. You help me think about things differently as well. I fuck with that. Hey, I'm glad I do that for you, bro. I'm glad I do that for you. Not a lot of people think of me that way, believe it or not. Most people just think, oh, he's just a young man. He doesn't understand anything. But I'm telling you, even the youngest people can change your perspective on things. Holy shit. Okay, lesson of the day right there. But, anyways, I digress. So for a long time, it was really just an idea, right? And for many months, maybe even years, it kind of just stayed as an idea in the back of my head. Not really acted upon, not really like dealt with or done something about it, other than maybe like small walks here or there, or something that was minuscule, nothing really big, changing and all that other sort of stuff, until much later in my life, until we move around about up to this point, I think. And I think we can go back, and it kind of turned into, like, later on, it kind of turned into more than just my idea. When I started making more vlogs, when I started gaming a lot less, and I started making, like, more vlogs, people would start coming into my streams, and after I would talk, because what I'd like to do on here, I know I'm kind of talking right now, but my experience in vlogs are a little bit different, right? My experience or specific experience I'm talking about. Vlogs are more open to bigger conversations and other sort of things. That's the difference mainly for the most part. And also, it kind of does reviews and all that other sort of stuff. Bro, where's heart and soul? Right here. My heart and my soul. It's literally what the character is based off. My own heart and soul. But, God, that is hilarious, actually, thinking about that, how I came up with him. But anyways, I digress. Sorry for getting distracted. When I started making more vlogs and stuff, so many people would come in and literally berate me. Some people were really nice about it, like really nice about telling me, you need to get a job, You need to get out there. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do this and this and this and this. But most people, when they would come in and tell me that, they would tell me that as some sort of toxic or some sort of like negative way, a way that wasn't necessarily like really good, you know. And it was like so much of that for multiple weeks on end. And keep in mind, before they even started saying that to me, I was also thinking the same thing. You know, I was thinking that very same thing. Maybe I should get a job, or maybe I should do this and that. I am 23 now. So maybe that will be a difference. Maybe because of, you know, how old I am, how much smarter I am, how much wiser I am, maybe that would help me, you know, better get out there in the world. Outside of doing YouTube and stuff, maybe that will legit help me out and shit. So you know, for a while, you know, I was just getting rid of comments, like spam comments telling me get a job, get a life brokey, get a life loser, all the comments you can think of. You know, that were negative, that were about just only getting a job and all that other sort of stuff. And for a little bit, I kind of took some of their advice. You know, some people really wanted me to be a mailman. Some people wanted me to work at a gas station. I actually went in one of my vlogs to the gas station to ask for a job. It's still in my wallet right now, like the idea of getting that job and using Shift Smart and getting shifts down at that gas station, you know. So I have taken some of your guys' advice and actually wanted to use it multiple times and stuff. Like, I wanted to just like kind of do it. I wanted to get in the idea of working, or the idea of doing something outside of what I got, right? Iced tea, unsweetened, Spanish rice, jasmine. That's nice, by the way. Damn inspirational, bro. You even surprised yourself. Of course. Not advised, just what I'm doing today. I got you. What you doing today? That's not bad. That's not a bad meal right there. That's not a bad meal at all. But, anyway, so after taking some of your guys' advice and stuff, I decided to kind of take it in my own hands because, you know, ever since, you know, I kind of had that recent, you know, breakdown and stuff about how I wanted to, you know, certain words, I don't like using it, but certain words, because of how much stress I was going through, I decided to change my entire life around, you know, like play a lot less video games, or a lot, like, I still play video games, but a lot less video games, like, and I'm just sitting there on my bed, chilling, relaxing most of the day, and I said, you know what, since I'm doing way more of this during my time, I want to go ahead and maybe ask if I can be of help. Maybe I can be of use to somebody else that isn't like just, you know, through the internet and stuff or online. You know, I want to help people in general do things and all that other crazy, wacky, cool stuff, right? I want to go and do that. So I think it was Monday where I decided to walk down to the resource office, and this was probably the first mistake I made, right? Or this is a mistake I should have realized way sooner, but I think I talked to, like, my dad about it after I got back, right? Was I went in there, way down there, I asked, hey, can I become, like, a volunteer? Can I sign up for this so I can, like, maybe help people and whatnot? And this nice lady came up to me, and we started talking, and I realized as soon as we started talking, my brain, because she was not like talking like super fast, like Eminem, like one of the fastest rappers fast, but I realized that like half of what she said I understood, but the other half I completely spaced out for. Like, I didn't understand what the fuck she was talking about, right? Because she was kind of rapid firing through a lot of these different sort of things. She was rapid firing through a lot of these things. At least to me, she was. And this is where I realized, or I realized later, because it happened again, like for the second time, when I went down there with Dad later, which I'm going to get to. After she explained all that stuff to me, I brought the paperwork that I needed to do back home, and I had Louie help me with the little resume, little fucking thing, or whatever that I need to write, or the resume, or whatever the hell it's called. I don't even know the word, what it's called. Application, or whatever the fuck. And I remember I was freaking out about that because I don't know how to write applications. I've never done this a day in my life, you know. Louie and Dad are the only ones who've done this before. But Louie made sure to keep me calm, make sure I didn't panic, all that other sort of stuff, because I was also panicking, like, what if I'm going to be volunteering working with kids? I can't work with kids. I barely know how to work with myself, man, you know? Like, maybe I can, I can't work with little kids. I'm not experienced in that. You know, I don't know what they'll like. I don't know what they'll, you know, make me look like and shit. Like, Louis, what am I gonna do if I am gonna be working with little kids? I can't be doing that. You know, and Louis was telling me, calm down, bro. You might not be working with little kids. You're jumping the gun a little bit. You know, you need to relax. Just we'll do this step by step. And keep in mind, I'm usually the one that's calming Louis down, but in this instance, it was actually the other way around. Louis was actually somewhat keeping me calm / someone keeping me on task doing the what is it? The task at hand, doing the application or whatever the fuck it's called, right? And I need help with our address because I barely know our address. I only know where I live because of, you know, me walking and walking around the place over and over again, you know, and stuff. That's the only way I know my address. I don't know it by, like, word for word, like, where I live and stuff. So Louis had to help me put that down, and then the whole guardianship, or 3 adults, all that other sort of stuff. What is it? It's a whole thing, right? And after doing that, we did it, we signed it, and, you know, I remember Dad came back, my dad came home. Funny enough, my brother just got denied by Starbucks again because he doesn't quote-unquote meet the requirements. But, funny enough, anyways, so I gave Dad the stuff, right? And my dad looked at it and said, oh, this is stuff that can help you use the computers and all that other sort of shit. Okay, Tuesday, like this Tuesday, or like, you know, last Tuesday, or this, you know, this week's Tuesday, because today is Friday now. But this Tuesday, we'll go down to the office and I'll help you get it more sorted out because, you know, you going by yourself and attempting all this shit. I'm going to try to help them understand who the fuck you are, right? Because basically my whole life, Lulu already has a job, though, right? He does, but he wants a second one because Fry's doesn't really pay him a lot. You have the rest of your life to work, and fair enough, but hear me out, right? So, my dad and I went down there together because my dad usually, whenever we get into scenarios like this, he usually is the one that has to explain my situation because I'm not going to remember half the shit myself. Like, I mean, yeah, I do remember I have ADHD and all that other sort of stuff, right? But anyways, so in between us walking down to the office, right, you know, my dad told me important information about myself, and, you know, this also led to me having a bigger understanding of myself and whatnot about how my ADHD is, how my autism is and stuff. I mean, I knew I had autism and ADHD before, but I didn't really truly understand, like, I mean, I did understand how bad it was, but I also still didn't understand how bad it was. It was like a mixed bag, right? Like, for example, like my dad telling me I wasn't fucking walking or crawling till I was 4 years old. I don't even know when I was walking, and a bunch of other stuff about my brain development and all that other sort of stuff. It's slowly getting better, but, like, when we had that mini conversation about my brain and my whole processing power and whatnot, that is when I realized, now I understand a little bit why I barely functioned in that conversation when I went down to the office on fucking Monday, you know? / like how I could barely understand people when they're talking to me in the first place that I'm not necessarily close to, or something like that, or whatever. Or I space out, or I don't get it, or something, or whatever. Like, words just kind of black out for me. Anyways, so while me and Dad were having that conversation, that's when I realized, oh my god, it's bad. Like, my processing stuff for real life interactions and shit is pretty bad. I mean, if I can't really necessarily, like, listen to a conversation all the way through and completely, like, understand it all the way through, like, for people, again, not for, like, people like my dad, because I will understand my dad right off the bat because we've been hanging around each other my entire life. So, of course, I'm going to understand my dad, I'm going to understand Louis, and I'm going to understand people that are, like, close to me in some way, shape, or form. But if it's anybody I don't know or I don't get how they work, how they function, and other stuff, I won't understand half the shit they're saying most of the time, or some of the time. Freaking mosquito out here. And I only just now clicked with me when, you know, on Monday when I went down there, and then the second time when Dad and I went down there together, when he started explaining my whole life backstory to one of the other volunteer people down there, and when I explained myself, it started to make more sense. Like the fact that I black out, you know, I black out when people ask me about my future, you know. YouTube was the only future I ever had a fucking light bulb flash up on top of my head and said, you know what, let's do it. You know, I'm down to do this. Really, the only thing I am, like, really, and I mean this, it's really, YouTube for my entire life was really the only fucking thing that I greenlit. Everything else, I've always been like, I've either blacked out on, like me trying to imagine myself as a police officer, never really got far in terms of that idea, or a coder, just nothing seems to stick or land. And I remember explaining that to Addison and like my dad hearing it, you know, for the first time and stuff, or something like that, right? And, you know, because everything just didn't feel quite right to me. And I noticed that too when I was talking with them. Because they were giving me job application ideas, like, hey, Job Corps can be the idea where you learn coding, where you learn how to, you know, fucks with people. You get to maybe live at that place for a while or something like that. It's a free college thing or a free semi-college-like thing or whatever the fuck. Try to help you get in there. You can be like some type of plumber. Like, I'm telling you, everything she was saying, my brain was processing it as like, I don't know. Like nothing is really feeling genuinely like what I feel like I would be doing. Like legit nothing. Everything she was saying was like I'm serious. I'm so serious. I was sitting there like, I don't know what I want to do, because genuinely I never thought about it, because I would always like fucking black out on somebody. Even when I was really little, this is something I noticed right away, that like I would legit kind of freeze there for a while, and I wouldn't speak or I wouldn't do anything, and I would just pretend that conversation never happened, I think, back then too. I just really wouldn't, I just had no idea, and I felt like it was even worse back then, because I legit had no fucking idea. I really was just like living in the moment as a little ass kid and stuff like that. And that's why arguably up to this point, YouTube really was the only thing I was focusing on, because it's something that is truly what I want to do. It's the only thing I know how to do, you know, to the extent I want, because, you know, YouTube allows me to do it the way I want to do it. But anyways, my point proven. So after we went down there, we got stuff figured out, you know, they said, hey, you know what, not only you can use our computers here to help you, like, apply for jobs, but also we can help you get into that volunteer thing and whatnot, and so on and so forth. We want you to take this little calendar thing or whatever, so you can show what you can show up for to help volunteer, all that other sort of stuff. Your first day will be Thursday to volunteer. Okay, and I'm like, yeah, Thursday, my first day. My first day volunteering. Okay, I understand. Let's get it. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this. I'm excited about this. I don't know. There was so much emotions flooding me during this time. And after we got back home from the whole volunteering thing, from when me and Dad walked down there and stuff, I remember I was kind of going through the motions. Like, I was kind of freaking out about it. Not like on the inside. Like, a part of me was freaking out about it, but a part of me wasn't. And then, like, another issue kind of arose when I tried to talk to, like, Chris that same day, just a couple hours later. I was, like, uncontrollably smiling. I was sweating, like, profusively, like, uncontrollably sweating. And all this other sort of stuff, right? It was getting so bad for me that I was thinking, maybe I can't handle a conversation right now. And I tried explaining it to my dad, I think, like, the next couple hours later after it happened, or a day or so later after it happened, because I went to just complete relaxation mode after that small conversation I had with Chris, bro. I could barely take that combo. and I was looking up what the fuck was wrong with me. Because keep in mind, guys, I am mentally going through stuff every single day, it feels like. Every single day, I'm going through some sort of mental crisis, it feels like. Every other day. Or every other week, it feels like it, right? But anyways, so that happened. Me going back to bed, / staying with Chris and shit, whatnot. Or not staying with Chris, but just going back to just being by myself, isolated, alone, not talking to nobody other than, on stream and stuff. Just going back to watching my, whatever the fuck I watch on YouTube most of the day or something. Because that's, again, my area of peace, my true feeling of relaxation, my like me being in the house is my relaxed state. When I'm outside, it's completely different story, depending on what I'm doing outside. But anyways, so let's jump over to Thursday a little bit or let's jump to the conversation I had with my dad after I talked about the whole uncontrolled smiling and the whole sweating thing, like refusively sweating like no tomorrow. Chris recommended we just don't talk anymore because I can't really control myself in a normal conversation. But I'm not 100% sure about that, about the whole, dude, if this keeps happening when we talk, I don't want to, talk to you, bro, because I don't want you, smiling so much that you're hurting yourself, / sweating so bad that, you're freaking yourself out. I don't want to freak you out, man, or anything like that. But after that, I tried explaining it to my dad because I'm like, Dad, I'm not feeling the best because, I just had a small convo with Chris a couple hours ago and I couldn't help but smile the whole time and look like a fucking crazy person with my cheekbones hurting so goddamn bad and sweating so goddamn bad all over my fucking body, man. And Dad was telling me, dude, it's literally because of the volunteer thing, that you signed up for, you're freaking out because you're volunteering. You're freaking out because you're doing something new. You're freaking out. You're freaking out. You're freaking out on me. Or not freaking out on me, but you're freaking out. Right? And I listened to Dad, but I felt like it was due to something completely different. It wasn't just because I was freaking out. And I tried to explain to Dad that, it's kind of funny. I actually did kind of calm down / before that conversation about the whole thing. Sure, I was nervous and I had some anxiety about it, coming back home and realizing that's what was happening. But I actually completely calmed down about the whole volunteer thing, right? Raven, welcome to stream. Just talking about a story about me trying to volunteer. But yeah. What is it? I actually completely mellowed out about that idea and I wasn't thinking about it too damn much, right? But I tried to explain that, but my dad kind of chopped it up to me volunteering, the whole reason why you acted like that towards Chris was because you were volunteering. You weren't you weren't in the right mind, you weren't in the right headspace, all that other sort of shit. And, we had a long talk, for I think an hour, but then after that, after we had our talk and stuff, I think we just went our separate ways after we just had a good combo, me trying to understand myself. There was more in there, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about that because I also actually there is some important information in there because I was explaining to Dad because Dad was like, oh, you guys got nothing to worry about. All you guys do all day is stream all day and hang out with each other and all that other sort of stuff, right? That's literally what you guys do, right? You guys are known to being loud a little bit. You guys kind of, at a young age, you got the whole being loud stick from Dashing Games or something. You started implementing that in your own self, but then you realize simultaneously with that same energy, unlike him where he can probably control that shit, you actually have a legit problem where you actually can't control it, you actually get frustrated at things around you. And it's not a whole bit thing like Dashi would make it out to be. Or something like that. Yeah, Dashi is the GOAT, by the way. Love that man to death. Entertained me for a long time. Not just entertained me, but he is one of the GOAT of YouTubers, in my opinion. He still is the GOAT. Even if I don't watch him as much, still one of the best YouTubers I ever watched. Hands fucking down. One of the best. Right? But anyways, and after Dad was explaining that to me, and I explained to him about me in general now, how I want to be more quiet. I feel like I'm becoming a little bit more sensitive, and I don't like being associated as being that really loud guy, you know, that loud fucking guy that just screams all day. I'm tired of people just recognizing me for that. I'm tired of people, you know, only recognizing me for that. It's either the angry guy or the fucking loud guy or a mix of both. I'm tired of that shit, you know. And I explained to Dad like how I felt and how I'm currently feeling about my life. And you know, Dad said, you know, the things I said a second ago to me, but he also said like stuff like you know, maybe it's also like it's also you realizing these things and you want to like, you know, go away from that stuff, you know. You're becoming like a new man, you know. You're not trying to really do like the same things to the same extent anymore. And you know what I mean? And I know that just happens for like a lot of people, like a lot of, you know, people growing up, like they don't want to do like the same shit they once did, or they can't do it to the same extent as they did before and stuff. But I'm trying to be like, but you get it, right? But I'm just trying to be more calm, more relaxed, more preserved. Like, just stop this whole angry madness that I put myself through for multiple years and stuff. And after me and Dad had our talk, and he said some things and whatnot, you know, I went back to my room with a more realized version of what the fuck I'm talking about. I think I also tried to talk to Louie about this before Dad or after I talked with Dad about this whole thing, and, you know, I explained to him what the hell was going on with me, and Louis, I'm trying to understand what the hell I'm going through, / what the fuck. That was a whole thing for a period of time, but let us skip to the big event. The day I volunteered on Thursday. Before that, let me read some comments from you guys, you know. Let me take a look at what you guys had to say. Yeah, unfortunately, autism sucks. Trying to meet new people. You're introvert until you're homies, then it's fine. Keep doing it then. It's your true passion. I think YouTube will kick off, bro. Look at the good guys out there like Speed. He had only like 10 viewers for a long time. Fair enough. What's up, dude? How's your day? Keith, by the way, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right. Raven, I did say hello to you. Played 12 Nightmare Horror Convention in Las Vegas, and I had fun. Can't wait for the next horror convention, Nightmare in Las Vegas 2026. I'm glad you had fun there, bro. My favorite YouTuber is Markiplier. Even though I don't watch him much, I think he's a pretty cool dude, right? To me, I'm not a loud person. I am more of a calm person. I am very open-minded and a good listener. Yeah, fair enough. I thought I was a good listener until I realized, like, I don't think I'm as good as I thought I was. But anyways, Thursday now. Let's move on to Thursday. So Thursday finally came up. For that whole day, what I ended up doing for most of it was basically, to sum up Thursday, I uploaded a video that I spent all of Wednesday working on, which was that What If Megalovania Had Lyrics Arekkusu TM Edition. Now, you guys know I love making videos like that, but I don't make videos, like, very often. Just videos in general. And I wanted to make one for Undertale for a very long time, so I spent most of Wednesday doing that. Or, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, I spent most of my day doing that. And I finally uploaded it Thursday, which is the day I needed to go. And I also uploaded a little skit for you guys, so it adds a cross-promotion for that video. I uploaded the video, then the skit. Then I also went live talking about both of those things. And I did that for the majority of the day. But then I also spent a really long time hanging out with Louie. And it was actually some of the most fun I had in a long time. Because me and Louie, we were going back through, like, I think, like, my voiceovers and stuff. And we were just not only talking about my stuff, but we also went to, like, Ronnie's Mega Man videos. And we started watching, like, all the little Wily bits. And, or not only just the Wily stuff, because Louis wanted to see, like, my Dr. Wily, because he loves my Dr. Wily impression. He thinks it's the funniest thing on the planet, and so does Chris, and so does others. It also kind of reminded me how much fun I had before I kind of, had all this stuff happen to me, like all me realizing and going through what I went through and stuff. It kind of made me remember, like, a little bit, at least those good times and stuff. And also some of my other videos, like not just skits, or some of my other music videos and stuff. We also watched some of those. And we just spent hours, like, laughing, talking about them, and having a really good time. And I remember, I think, yeah, my dad came back from work. You know, we were like, oh shit, Dad came back way earlier than we thought. I thought he was going to come back at like 5 or whatever time, right? And what ended up happening was after the whole thing. By the way, thank you for the 5 likes. I appreciate it. Louie and I went to go take a shower. I got out. I was ready to go to the volunteering thing, right? That was way down there at the front of this place or something like that. And Dad said, hey, is Louie going to come with you? Because keep in mind, right, I'm not really good in environments depending on what I'm doing, right? If I'm going on a walk and I'm not necessarily going somewhere, right, where I'm not used to, it's the worst time in the planet for me because I'm fucking scared somebody might pull up on me. I'm scared of everything, all right? I'm afraid of everything. I'm going to be so real with y'all. I'm afraid if someone might pull up to me, if I say the wrong thing to somebody in the store, if I'm going to someplace specific, and it turns into a whole goddamn thing. But the more I go there, the more used to it I'll be, I think. At least most places. Like, for example, Zia Records or Dollar Tree or something. If I go there, I'm fine. But, because I went there a bunch of times with or without Louie, so. But anyways, so Louie says, all right, I'll get up and go with you, you know, because Dad said, you know, it would be a good idea if you boys went out there together and stuff, so that way Alan has somebody he recognizes there, he isn't just completely by himself, sitting there alone, and all that other sort of shit. Trust me, I've done that, did not last long, right? But anyways, so we go down there, we're walking, there's light rain, we're getting rained on a little bit as we're walking down to the front of the office because that's where the volunteering place was. I thought it was going to be outside, but because it was raining and stuff, everyone decided to held it like inside the main office we have in my area. And what ended up happening was we got there. The same people that know us greeted us and they said, hey, welcome to everything. And by the way, there was already a fuck ton of people in there. And keep in mind, I don't like crowds either. So what ended up happening was we got in there, we greeted them, we said, hi, how you doing? So what you're going to do, and this was the first, and I mean this, guys, this was the first fuck no I felt that entire goddamn day. She told me, and I literally knew it from the day I perseverated on fucking Tuesday. I should have known this was going to happen. She told me, okay, one of you guys is going to be in charge of making sure the little ass kids that come in here aren't going to fight over these little bag things. And when I heard her say that, I immediately wanted to leave already. I was not going to go deal with little kids. So I'm sorry, but for some reason, I don't want to do that shit. Right? That was strike number 1, right? I was like, nope. I didn't walk out immediately already, but keep in mind, I said, okay, I'll try my best to deal with this. And Louie was also going to help little kids on the other side of the table. We were just going to make sure they weren't fighting. We were going to make sure they all get along with each other and all that other sort of shit, right? And we sat down for a while, we talked, but I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. As soon as, like, people started talking more, there was people on this side, like the right side of the room, in the middle of the room, right where me and Louie were sitting. There was people, like, right across, well, not, like right across, but it was, like, a little bit further away. There was people on the fucking left. There was people right fucking behind me. I'm talking, there was people everywhere speaking and talking and fucking and doing stuff. And keep in mind, I was trying to have many conversations with Louie on the side to keep myself from, like, completely fucking flipping out on somebody and flipping a fucking desk and leaving the whole thing, right? I was trying to keep myself calm by, you know, talking to Lubit, and Lubit was already noticing shit. He was already seeing it 10 times fucking over, okay? And I mean this, he was seeing it 10 times over, bro. 10 times over, he was seeing it that I was having issues. He was seeing that, oh fuck, I think Alan's about ready to, shit. And he was trying to keep me calm, but like, after like 5-10 minutes, there was people pulling up. There was people that were like fucking 6-7 or something that were walking in that bitch, man. And I'm talking, there were so many more people coming in. You got fucking food trucks and shit for this whole event that people were getting out. Big ass cakes, big ass shits. Kids start coming in and shit. And I said, oh, fuck this. I'm gone. Too much fucking noise. Fuck this goddamn event. I'm out this bitch. And I walked the fuck out. I said, I'm done. I walked out. Like, just straight up walked out. Louis said, oh my God, he just walked out. And keep in mind, he had to go up to somebody that they knew. He apologized. Alan is leaving. We're going to go. My brother is just done. And I got to go. I got to go with him. I got to catch up. And keep in mind, I was going to walk home, right? I was going to walk home. And keep in mind, they already knew what the fuck was going to happen. Well, they didn't know, but they had an idea of what could possibly happen. Louis even got told, like, was it because of anxiety? And Louis said, yes, anxiety. To that volunteer person that Louis told that we were leaving. Anxiety. Anxiety. So, Louis caught up to me after a little bit. We were walking around trying to get home to a little bit, and I was just going off. I was like, why the fuck did I think it was a good idea to volunteer when I am barely handling myself at home with what I have in front of me? I can barely have a normal conversation with my best mate on the entire fucking planet. Or one of them. I mean, if I can't have a conversation with Rene YT and he's just over the fucking internet, what made my stupid, dumb, retarded ass believe I could go to a volunteer thing with a bunch of people IRL and handle a situation like that? What in God's earth made me think that was okay? And Louis was over there trying to tell me, it's okay, relax, calm down, it's not a big deal. Man, fuck you, you don't get it, it is a big deal. Man, fuck society, fuck people. I'd be introverted my whole life because fuck them. I ain't doing this shit ever again. Louis, remind me to rip that goddamn thing off the goddamn wall when we get fucking back, because I'm not doing that shit again. I'd rather just be by myself, in my room, chilling out, nothing for me to worry about, and I'd rather just do fucking that than fucking everything else I was fucking going through. I'd rather just go through what the hell I go through in my room on a regular basis than none of every other this fuck ass shit. Like, fuck this shit, dude. And keep in mind, right, as we were talking about all of this, the rain started pouring harder and harder and harder and harder, to the point that me and Louis actually got fucking soaked. We were soaked. We were drenched from all the rainwater that was being poured and rained upon us and shit. And after all that, because a part of me wanted to go get donuts from Walmart. I wanted to walk to Walmart, get myself donuts to, I guess, feel better about the whole fucking thing, right? Or whatever, right? I wanted to do that, but the rain poured harder, so we kind of turned back and just beelined it home because the rain was just getting worse and worse, and we didn't want to be out there, getting the donuts and shit, and then having to come all the way back and whatnot. And it was raining bad to the point like our clothes were drenched, all that other sort of shit. Shoes were wet. Everything was fucking wet, bro. It sucked. At least it didn't get my wallet or anything that was in my pockets and shit. But after me and Louis got back home, I, greeted Pip, because Pip was here by herself all alone. Muff was too, for a period of time. I think almost an hour, but you get it. What ended up happening is we got back home. Louis went back to the room. I said, you know what? To make myself feel better about all this, I'm gonna go do something I actually fucking like. And I'm gonna go do some dubs of stuff. Fuck it. To make myself feel better, I'm gonna go scream at my device for a couple of minutes. Maybe near an hour. Fuck it. I'd rather deal with that than anything what the fuck I just dealt with. Right? And just fuck all that. And I went to go do that. Louis stayed quiet to allow me to dub stuff and allow me to dub everything that I wanted to dub and shit. And after a while, Louis actually was very upset Like, at first, he wasn't upset about the whole volunteering thing. He was just trying to cheer me up. But later on, he did get way more upset about the volunteering thing because he was saying to himself, I honestly thought things were actually going to be different this time. You know, like, Alex gets to get out there. He gets to interact with people. He gets to, you know, have fun in these social things and all this other sort of stuff and whatnot. I genuinely thought going down there might change Alan's perspective on, you know, this whole thing. Maybe he can be a little bit, you know, extroverted or something or whatever. But nope, I guess fuck all, right? Now Alan's just gonna be the same forever, man. And when I saw Louis, like, think like that and even say that stuff, I said, Louis, be honest with me, man. I don't know why the fuck you're sad now. You know? I mean, sure, I kind of did waste your time by going down there for 5 to 10 minutes and even got rained on heavy. But it's not the end of the fucking world, you know? And who knows? I just wasn't built for this stuff, man. I just wasn't. I mean, compared to you, I'm not built for this. I'm built for completely different situations and completely different things, and I'm gonna do things my fucking way. And I tried, you know, I tried. At least I fucking tried, and that's what Louis said, and, you know, Louis was saying the same thing earlier. You know, Louis, I mean, you gotta admit, you should have known this was gonna fucking happen. I was gonna fucking get up and walk out. And I know that shit looked fun, but to me, that was horrible. That was not traumatizing, but that was horrible for me. I can't tolerate all these new fucking people all at once. Fuck all of them. You know, I'm not doing that again. I'd rather be in my room, you know? And, you know, and I was saying to myself, even after the dubs and after me and Louis had that small talk, that I was like, you know, obviously this shit wasn't going to work out, you know? Maybe I don't want to do it again, you know? And I don't want to, like, go out and do it again. I just don't. I don't even want to attempt. And honestly, this story so far really reminds me of what happened when I went to church. I walked out. I walked out on church because of the same exact issues. Couldn't stand being in a public environment. But it was even worse then because I got lost for 6 or 7 hours on trying to find my way home. But that's a story that you can watch on my channel. My experience going to church for the very first time or something like that. Something like that. And I explained the whole story there. I think Chris was with me in that video. But I digress. It kind of happened again with this, and it goes to show. And keep in mind, church was like 2 years ago, I think, or a year or so ago. Year or 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 years ago at this point. Maybe a year or so ago, like a year going on to 2 years ago. And I tried attempting again with this volunteer stick, and it just didn't cut out. You know, it didn't fan out. I mean, don't even remind me of my trip to Sedona, where I couldn't handle being with extended family for a long time. So on top of that, I'm fucked, you know? But I digress. After that whole thing, hours later, after chilling out on my own, which I was happy doing, and Dad came back from what he was doing again, because he left as well, but he was talking to me saying, hey, how'd it go, guys? Did you guys have a good time? And me and Louis didn't bullshit. We kind of bullshit. We couldn't get words out. But at the end, we kind of said, anxiety came after me. It was way too fucking crowded. Way more crowded than ever before. It was not what we were expecting. And it was way too much. Alex walked the fuck out. And then I think Dad said a couple of things like, for example, honestly, that thing, I don't even go and do those things. I feel like that shit is even too much for even me and shit. But it's alright, it's understandable. I wouldn't even do something like that, you know? So, I get y'all on that, you know? I get y'all that it was a bit much on that shit and the whole thing, and just kind of relating to us in some way, shape, or form, and it was a whole fucking thing. But that's the end of my experience volunteering, or my very short experience being a volunteer. It didn't pan out too well, and I almost don't even want to try doing it, like, ever again. And if I do it again, obviously there's probably going to be a re-experience on this topic being made. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about my volunteering story. Let me know your volunteer stories down below in the comments if you guys ever had volunteered. Doesn't have to be in the live chat. It can be like after this video is over and already uploaded and stuff. But I'm going to get out of here. I need to... I don't know if I'll even do another stream, like maybe Undertale fan game stream or something, or whatever the fuck. Haven't planned anything else. I just wanted to talk about this story and stuff, get it out there. And maybe some people can relate to this story, maybe some people won't, but until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later. Please go check out the video I made yesterday, the Megalovania with lyrics, Arekkusu TM edition. I worked really hard on that, and I think everyone should check that out. Go check it out. Please. Check it out. Maybe even check out my experience of me going into making that video. You know, everything I thought about, everything I did making that bitch. Go watch that too. And maybe watch some other Undertale shit or something that'll change you on this page. Anyways, see you guys later. I love you guys. Peace, man. Thank you guys so much for watching.